Upon my word, I don't believe they are up yet.
I told you so, miss. Remember how late the steamboat got in last night? And then when they got home, good Lord, what a lot the young mistress had to untie before she could get to bed.
Well, let them have their sleep out, but let us see that they get a good breath of fresh morning air when they do appear.
I declare there isn't a bit of room left. I think I'll put it down here, miss.
So you have a new mistress now, my dear Berta? Heaven knows it was a wrench to me to part with you.
And do you think it wasn't hard for me too, miss? After all those blessed years that I spent with you and Miss Veena.
Oh, we have to make the best of it, my dear Berta. There was nothing else to be done. George can't do without you, you see. He absolutely can't. He has had you to look after him ever since he was a little boy.
But Miss Julia, I can't help thinking of Miss Veena lying helpless in bed there. That poor thing. And with a new girl too, she'll never learn to take proper care of an invalid.
Oh, I shall manage to train her, Berta. And of course, most of it I shall take upon myself. You needn't be uneasy about my poor sister, my dear Berta.
But Miss Julia, there's another thing too. I am so mortally afraid that I shouldn't be able to soothe the young mistress.
Oh, well, just at first there may be one or two things.
Well, she'll be terrible grand in her ways.
Well, you can't wonder at that. General Gabler's daughter. Think of the sort of life she was accustomed to in her father's time. Don't you remember, Berta, how we used to see her riding down the road along with the general in that long black habit and with feathers in her hat?
Yes, indeed. I remember well enough. But I wouldn't have dreamt in those days that she and Master George would make a match of it.
Oh, well, nor I. But by the way, Berta, while I think of it, in future, you mustn't say Master George. You must say Dr. Tessman.
The mistress had mentioned about it too. Last night, when the event came into the house. Is it true then, miss?
Yes, of course, it is. Only thing, Berta, a foreign university has made him a doctor while he has been abroad, you understand? I hadn't heard a word about it until he himself told me upon the pyre.
Well, he's clever enough for anything he is. But I didn't think he'd have gone in for doctoring people.
Oh, no. It's not that sort of a doctor that he is. But let me tell you, we may have to call him something still grander before long.
You don't say so. What can that be, miss?
Wouldn't you like to know? If only my poor brother could look up from his grave right now and see what his little boy has grown into. But bless me, Berta, why have you done this? Taken the chintz covers off all the furniture?
The mistress told me to. She can't abide covers on the chairs, she says.
Oh, are they going to make this their everyday sitting room then?
Yes, that's what I understood. From the mistress. Master George, the doctor, he hasn't said anything.
Oh, there he is. Good morning, George.
Aunt Julia! Dear Aunt Julia! Come all this way so early, huh?
But of course, I had to come and see how you were getting on.
In spite of having had no proper night's rest.
Oh, that makes no difference to me.
I suppose you got home all right from the pier, huh?
Yes, dear. Quite safely. Thank goodness. Judge Brack was kind enough to see me right to my door.
Oh, we were so sorry we couldn't give you a seat in the carriage. But you saw what a pile of boxes her had to bring with her.
Yes, she had certainly plenty of boxes.
Do you think the mistress needs any help with anything?
Oh no, thank you, Berta. She said she would ring if she wanted anything.
Very well then.
But look here, take this portmanteau with you.
I'll put it in there.
Fancy, Auntie. I had hold that portmanteau chock full of copies of documents. I've picked up so much from all these archives I've been examining. Curious old details that no one has had any idea of.
Well, you don't seem to have wasted your time on your wedding trip, my dear boy.
No, that I haven't. But do take off your bonnet, Auntie. Let me untie the strings for you.
Oh, well, this is just as if you were still at home with us.
Why would a gorgeous bonnet you've been investing in?
Oh, I bought it on Hedda's account.
On Hedda's account?
Yes, so that she needn't feel ashamed of me if we happen to go out together.
Oh, you always think of everything, Aunt Julia. And now look here, and suppose you sit comfortably on the sofa and have a little chat till Hedda comes.
Oh, George, my boy, my poor brother's own little son. What a delight it is to have you again, as large as life, before my very eyes, George.
And it's a delight for me too, Aunt Julia, to see you again. You, who've been a father and mother in one to me.
Oh, I know you will always keep a place in your heart for your old aunts.
What about Aunt Rina? No improvement, huh?
No, dear, we can scarcely look for any improvement in her case, poor thing. There she lies helpless as she has lain for all these years. But heaven grant I may not lose her yet a while, for if I did, I don't know what I will do with my life, George, especially now that I don't have you to look after anymore.
There.
And to think of it, that here you are, a married man, and that you be the one to carry off Hedda Gabler, the beautiful Hedda Gabler. Only think of it, she that was so beset with admirers.
Yes, I fancy I have several good friends among town who like to stand in my shoes, huh?
Yes, certainly, my boy, certainly. And then this fine long wedding tour that you have had, more than 5, I must say 6 months.
Well, for me, it has been sort of a tour of research as well. You see, I've had to do so much grubbing among old records and to read no end of books too, Auntie.
Oh, yes, indeed, it must have been like that. But listen to me now, George. Have you nothing special to tell me?
As to our journey?
Well, yes.
No, I don't know of anything except what I have already told you in my letters. I had a doctor's degree conferred on me, but that I told you yesterday.
Oh, yes, indeed you did. But what I mean is, haven't you any expectations?
Expectations?
Yes, come on, George, I'm your old auntie.
Oh, why, of course I have expectations. I have every expectation of being a professor one of these days.
Oh, yes, a professor.
Indeed, I'm certain of it. But you know that already, Aunt.
Oh, yes, you're quite right there. I know about it. But I was talking about this long journey, George. It must have cost a great deal of money.
Well, you see, my handsome traveling scholarship, it went a good way.
Oh, but then I can't understand how you could have made it go far enough for 2.
That's not easy to understand, huh?
And especially traveling with a lady. They tell me it makes it all the more expensive.
Yes, it does make it a little more expensive, but I had to have this trip, Aunt. She really had to. Nothing else would have done.
Oh, no, certainly not. But George, then, I mean, how did you manage, my boy?
Well, you see, Hedda, she really had to have this trip, and I couldn't possibly ask her not to have the trip.
Okay, and now one more thing. Have you gone thoroughly over the house yet?
Yes, you may be sure I have. I haven't afoot ever since daylight.
And what do you think of it all?
I'm delighted, quite delighted. But Aunt, I can't seem to think that what we are to do with those 2 empty rooms between the inner parlour and Hedda's bedroom.
Oh, my boy. I dare say you may find some good use of them in course of time.
Why, you're quite right there. Oh, you mean as my library increases, huh?
Oh, yes, it was your library I was thinking of.
Especially pleased on Hedda's account. You see, before we were engaged, she used to say that she would never live anywhere but Secretary Fox's villa.
And it was lucky that this very house should come in the market just after you had started.
Yes, the luck was on our side, wasn't it, huh?
Oh, but the expense, my dear boy, you will find it very expensive, all this.
I suppose I shall, huh?
Oh, frightfully.
How much do you think in round numbers? Huh?
Oh, I can't even guess until all the accounts come in.
Well, fortunately, Judge Brack has secured the most favourable terms for me. So he said in a letter to Hedda.
Yes, my dear boy, don't get uneasy about it. Besides, I have already given security for the furniture.
Security? But Aunt Julia, what sort of security could you give?
Oh, well, I had given a mortgage on our annuity.
On your annuity?
Oh, well, you see, I knew of no other plan.
Have you gone out of your senses, Auntie? It's all that you and Aunt Rina have to live upon.
George, don't get so excited about it, my boy. It's only a matter of form. Judge Brack has assured me of that. It was he that was kind enough to arrange the whole affair for me. A mere matter of form, he said.
So that may be all, but nevertheless,
well, you will have your own salary to depend upon now, George. And my dear boy, even if we have to pay a little, tweak things out a bit at the start, why, that would be nothing but a pleasure to us.
Will you never get tired of making sacrifices for me, Aunt?
Oh, have I any other happiness in this whole world except to smooth your way for you, my dear boy? You who have neither had father nor mother to depend upon. And now we have reached our goal, George. Things have seemed black enough for us sometimes. But now you have nothing to fear, my boy.
Yes. It's very marvelous how things have turned out for the best, huh?
And for the people who opposed you, who wanted to bar the way for you, now they have fallen, George. You have them at your feet. Your most dangerous rival, his fall has been the worst. And now he has to lie on the same bed that he has made for himself. Poor misguided creature.
Have you heard anything of Eilert? Ever since I went away, I mean.
Well, only that he seems to have published a new book.
What? Eilert Lovborg? Recently, huh?
Well, yes, so they say, but heaven knows whether it is worth anything. But when your new book appears, that shall be another story, my boy. So tell me, what is it to be about?
It will deal with the domestic industries of Brabant during the Middle Ages.
Fancy to be able to write on a subject such as that.
However, it may be some time before the book is ready. You see, I have all these collections to arrange first.
Oh yes, collecting and arranging. No one can beat you at that, my dear boy.
I'm looking forward eagerly to setting to work at it. Especially now that I have my own beautiful house to work in.
And more so that you have the wife of your heart.
Oh yes.
My dear boy.
Oh yes, Hedda. She's the best part of it all, Aunt. I believe I hear her coming, huh?
Good morning, my dear Hedda, and a hearty welcome.
Good morning, my dear Miss Tessman. So early a call? That was very kind of you.
Did the bride sleep well in a new home?
Oh yes, thanks, possibly.
Passively. Come, that's good, Hedda. Or you were sleeping like a stone when I got up.
Fortunately, of course, one has to accustom themselves to new surroundings, little by little. But there the servant has gone and opened the veranda door and let in a flood of sunshine.
Oh, then we will shut it.
No, not that. Draw the curtains. Tessman, it will give a softer light.
Oh, there now. Now you have both shade and fresh air.
Yes, fresh air we must have with all these stacks of flowers lying about. Won't you sit down, Miss Tessman?
Oh no, dear. Thank you, my dear Hedda. I should love to, but then now that I've seen that everything is all right here, I must be getting back home again. My sister is lying there longing for me, poor thing.
Give her my best love, Aunt, and tell her I shall come in and look at her later in the day.
I'll be sure to tell her, my boy. But I think I've forgotten something.
Well, what is it?
I have something for you here, George. Look, my boy, take a good look.
Oh, well, I declare. Have you really saved them for me, Aunt Julia? Hedda, isn't this touching, huh?
What is it?
My old morning shoes, my slippers.
Oh yes, we often spoke of them when we were abroad.
Yes, I miss them terribly. And now you shall see them, Hedda.
Thanks, I really don't care about them.
Of course not for Hedda, George.
Yes, but now that she belongs to the family, I thought she should know.
We should never get on with the servant, Tessman.
Not get on with Berta.
Why, dear? What puts that in your head?
Look, she's let her old bonnet lying about here. Fancy if someone should come in and see it.
Hedda, that's Aunt Julia's bonnet.
Is it?
Oh, yes. It's mine indeed. And what's more, it's not old, Madam Hedda.
I really did not look closely at it.
Oh, well, let me tell you, it's the very first time I've worn it. The very first time.
And quite a beauty it is.
Oh, it's no such great things, George. My parasol. Here it is. Oh, this is mine too and not Berta's.
A new bonnet and a new parasol. Only thing, Hedda.
Very handsome indeed.
But Aunt, do take a good look at Hedda before you go and see how handsome she is.
Oh, my dear boy. What's new in that? Hedda had always been lovely.
Yes. But do you notice what splendid condition she is in and how she's filled out on the journey?
Filled out?
Be quiet.
You don't notice it so much now that she has that dress on. But I who can
You
see,
can see nothing.
it must be the mountain air in the Tyrol then.
I'm exactly as I was when I started.
So you insist, but I'm quite certain you're not. Don't you agree with me, Auntie, huh?
Oh, Hedda had always been lovely, lovely, lovely. God bless and preserve Hedda Tessman for George's sake.
Let me go.
I shall not let a day pass by without coming to see you.
No, you won't,
Goodbye.
Auntie. Will you?
Goodbye.
What are you looking at, Hedda?
I'm only looking at the leaves. They're so yellow, so withered.
Well, you see, we're well into September now.
Just think of it. Already into September.
Hedda, do you think Aunt Julia's manner was strange today? Almost solemn. Can you imagine what was the matter with her?
I scarcely know her, you see. Is she not always like that?
No, not as she was today.
Do you think she was annoyed about the bonnet?
Oh, not at all. Perhaps a little, just at the moment.
At any rate, I shall try to make my peace with her.
Yes, if you only will.
When you call on her this afternoon, you may ask her to spend the evening here.
Yes, that I will. And Hedda, there's one more thing you could do that would delight her heart.
Well,
If you could only prevail on yourself to call her aunt, for my sake, Hedda, huh?
no, George, you mustn't ask me of that. I've already told you I can't.
But now that you belong to the family, you should...
I don't see a least reason why I should.
Is there anything the matter with you, Hedda?
I'm only looking at my old piano. It does not at all go with my other things.
Well, you see, the first time I draw my salary, we'll see about exchanging it.
No exchanging. I can't part with it. Maybe put it in the inside room and get a new one in its place. Then it's convenient. I mean,
Yes, of course, we could do that.
these flowers weren't here.
Aunt Julia must have brought them for you.
It has a card. Shall call on later in the evening. Can you guess whose name it is?
No, whose is it?
Mrs. Elvsted, the name is.
Sheriff Elvsted's wife. Miss Rising, that was.
Exactly, the girl with the irritating hair that she's always showing off. An old flame of yours, I've heard.
Oh, that didn't last long, Hedda. That was before I met you. But fancy her being in town.
Thought she should call upon us. I've scarcely seen her since we left school.
I haven't seen her in heaven knows how long. And I can't imagine how she can endure to live in such an out-of-the-way hole.
Isn't it somewhere there that Eilert Lovborg is living?
Yes, he is somewhere in that part of the region.
That lady ma'am that brought some flowers a little while ago is here again. The flowers you have in your hand now.
Yes, please show me. My dear Mrs. Elvsted, how lovely to see you again.
Yes, it's a very long time since we've met.
And we too, huh?
Thank you for the lovely flowers.
Oh, not at all. I would have come straight here yesterday afternoon, but I heard that you were away.
Have you just come to town, huh?
Well, yes, I arrived yesterday about midday. Oh, I was in quite despair when I heard that you're not at home.
In despair, how so?
Oh, why, my dear Mrs. Mrs. Elvsted?
I hope you're not in any trouble.
Well, yes, I am. And I don't know another living creature here that I can turn to.
Well then sit and tell us.
But I'm too restless to sit down.
Oh no, you're not. Come sit.
Well, what is it, Mrs. Elvsted?
Has anything particular happened at home?
Well, yes and no. But I'm so anxious. You should not misunderstand me.
Well then your best idea is to tell us your whole story then.
I suppose that's what you come for, huh?
Well, yes. If you don't know already, Eilert Lovborg is in town too.
What? Has Eilert Lovborg come back? Fancy that, Hedda.
I can hear it.
Yes, he's been here a week already. Just fancy that, a whole week in this terrible town with so many temptations on all sides.
My dear Mrs. Elvsted, how does he concern you so much?
The children's tutor.
Your children's.
No, my husband's. I have none.
Your stepchildren's then?
Yes.
Then was he, I don't know how to express it, was he regular enough in his approach to be fit for the post, huh?
Yes, for the last 2 years his conduct has been irreproachable.
Has it indeed? Fancy that, Hedda.
I can hear it.
Yes, perfectly irreproachable, I assure you, in every respect. But now that I know all the same that he's here in this great town with a large sum of money in his hands, I can't help being in mortal fear for him.
Then why did he not remain where he was with you and your husband, huh?
After his book was published, he was too restless and unsettled to remain with us.
Oh, yes. Aunt Julia told me he has published a new book.
Yes, a big book dealing with the march of civilization in broad outline, as it were. It came about a fortnight ago, and since it was sold so well and so much read and made such a huge sensation.
Has it indeed? It must be something he's had lying about since his better days.
Long ago, you mean?
Yes.
No, he's written it all since he's been with us within the last year.
Isn't that good news, Hedda?
Oh, if it could only last.
Have you seen him here in town?
No, I've had the greatest difficulty in finding out his address. But this morning I finally discovered it at last.
You know, it seems to me a little odd of your husband.
Of my husband? What?
That he should send you to town to look after Eilert Lovborg, that he doesn't come himself.
My husband has no time, and besides, I had some shopping to do.
That is another matter. But
That is why I beg and implore you, Mr. Tessman, receive Eilert Lovborg kindly if he comes to you. And he's sure to do, since you've been such great friends in the old days. You're interested in the same branch of science, the same branch of study, so far I can understand.
We used to be, at any rate.
That is why I beg so earnestly that you too can keep a sharp eye upon him. You promise me that, Mr. Tessman, won't you?
With the greatest of pleasure, Miss Rice.
Elvsted.
I assure you I shall do all I possibly can. You may rely upon me.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, how good and kind you are. You see, my husband is so very fond of him.
Yes. You should write to him, Tessman. Otherwise, he might not come to us on his own accord.
But perhaps that would be the right thing to do, Hedda, huh?
The sooner the better. Why not at once?
If you only would.
I'll write to him this moment. Have you his address, Miss Elvsted?
Oh, yes. Here it is.
I'll go in. Oh, by the way, my slippers.
Be sure to write him a cordial long letter, yes?
Yes, sir, I will.
And please, don't say a word to show that I've suggested it.
Oh, how could you think I would?
There, we've killed two birds with one stone.
What do you mean?
Did you not see I wanted him to go?
Yes, to write the letter.
And so we could speak alone?
About the same thing?
Precisely.
Oh, but I have nothing more, my dear Mrs. Tessman, absolutely nothing.
Oh, but there is a great deal more. I can see that very clearly. Sit, we'll have a cozy, confidential chat.
But I was really on the point of going.
Oh, you can be in no hurry. Sit. Now, Mrs. Elvsted, tell me something about your life at home.
Oh, that is what I care least to speak about.
But to me, weren't we schoolfellows?
Yes, you were in the class above me. How dreadfully afraid I was of you then.
Afraid of me?
Yes, dreadfully. When we used to meet in Star, you always used to pull my hair.
Did I really?
Yes. Once you said you'd burn it off my head.
That was all nonsense, of course.
But I was so silly in those days, and we've drifted so far apart from each other. Our circles have been entirely different.
Well, then we should try to drift together again. See, now in school I remember we used to call each other by our Christian names.
Oh, I'm sure you must be mistaken.
No, I remember it clearly. And now we shall renew our old friendship. There, you must call me Hedda.
Oh, thanks. How good and kind you are. I'm not used to such kindness, you see.
And I, like in the old days, shall call you my dear Thora.
My name is Thea.
That is just what I meant. So, didn't you say that you're not used to kindness, even in your own home?
Only if I had a home. I haven't any. I never had a home.
I suspected as much.
Yes.
Tell me, wasn't it as housekeepers you first went at the Elvsteds?
I really went as governess, but his late wife, was an invalid and she rarely left the room, so I had to look after housekeeping as well.
And at last you became the mistress of the house?
Yes, I did.
How long ago was that?
My marriage? 5 years ago.
Surely must be that.
It was 5 years. But it all, the events, the last 2 or 3 of them, if you could only imagine, Mrs. Tessman.
Mrs. Tessman? Thea?
Yes, I'll try. If you could only imagine, Hedda, and understand that this...
Eilert Lovborg has been in that part of the country 3 years now, hasn't he?
Eilert Lovborg?
Yes.
Yes, he has.
And did you know him before in town here?
Scarcely at all. I knew him by name, of course.
But you saw a good deal of him in the country.
Yes, he came to us every day. You see, he gave the children lessons, for in the long run I couldn't manage it all myself.
Yes, that is clear. And your husband is away from home a lot.
Yes, being the sheriff, he has to travel a great deal in his district.
Oh, Thea, now you must tell me exactly everything as it stands.
Well, then you must question me.
What kind of a man is your husband in everyday life?
I'm sure he means well in everything.
But I calculate he's altogether too old for you. There's at least 20 years of difference between you two.
Yes, that's true. Everything about him is so repellent to me. We have no single thought in common, no single point of sympathy, he and I.
Is he not fond of you all the same?
I don't know. I think he regards me as a useful property, and then it doesn't cost much to keep me. You see, I'm not very expensive.
That is stupid of you.
It cannot be otherwise, not with him. I don't really think he cares about anyone but himself. Perhaps a little for the children.
And for Eilert Lovborg, Thea?
Eilert Lovborg? What's that in your head?
Well, if he sends his wife to town on such an errand. And besides, you said it to Tessman yourself a moment ago.
Did I? I suppose I did. No, I must just make a clean breast of it at once, for it must all come out in any case.
Why, Thea?
To make a long story short, my husband did not know that I was coming.
Did not know it?
No, for that matter, he was away from home himself. He was travelling. I could bear it no longer, as utterly alone as I should have been in the future.
Well, and then?
Then I took some of the things that I needed the most, and as quietly as possible left the house.
Without a word?
And took the train to town.
Oh, Thea, to think of you daring to do it.
What else could I possibly do?
But what do you think he will say when you go back?
Back to him?
Of course.
I shall never go back to him.
Then you've left home for good and all.
Yes, there was nothing else to be done.
But you take flight so openly.
It's impossible to keep such sort of things secret.
What do you think people will say of you?
They may say what they like. For what I care, I've done nothing but what I had to do.
And what are your plans now? What do you think of doing?
I don't know yet. But I don't know. I must live where Eilert Lovborg is. And live it all.
Thea, how did this friendship between you and Eilert Lovborg come about?
Well, it grew gradually. I sort of gained an influence over him.
Did you indeed?
Yes. He gave up his old habits. Not because I asked him to. I would never dare to do that. But he saw how repulsive they were to me, so he dropped them.
Then you have reclaimed him, as the saying goes.
So he says himself. And he on his side has made a real human being out of me, taught me to think and understand so many things.
Did he give you lessons then?
Oh, no, not exactly lessons, but he talked to me. Talked about such an infinity of things, and then came the happy, lovely time when I began to share in his work. When he allowed me to help him, of course.
Did he? Really?
Yes. He never wrote anything without my assistance.
Then you were two good comrades indeed.
Comrades, yes, Hedda, that is the very word he used. Oh, I ought to feel perfectly happy. But yet, I do not, since I don't know how long it will last.
Are you no surer of him than that?
A woman's shadow stands between Eilert Lovborg and me.
Who can that be?
I don't know. Someone in his past. Someone he has never been able to wholly forget.
What has he told you about this?
He once quite vaguely alluded to it.
And what did he say?
He said that when they parted, she threatened to shoot him with a pistol.
No one does that sort of thing here.
Oh, that is why I think must have been that red-haired singing woman whom he once...
Yes, must be.
For I remember, they used to say she used to carry loaded firearms.
Then it must be her.
Hedda, just fancy. Now I hear that the singing woman is back in town again, and I don't know what to do.
Berta.
All this must remain between you and me.
Oh, yes, for heaven's sake.
There now. The pistol is now finished.
That's right. And Thea was just on the way of going.
Hedda dear, do you think Berta could post the letter?
I'll give it to her.
Judge Brack wishes to know if Mrs. Tessman will receive it.
Yes, surely.
Well, may one venture to call up so early in the day?
Of course, one way.
You are welcome at any time.
Delighted.
Judge Brack, Miss Rising.
Delighted, ma'am.
It's fine to have a look at you by daylight, Judge.
Do you find me altered?
A little younger, perhaps.
Oh, thank you so much.
But Judge, what do you think of Hedda? Doesn't she look flourishing? She's
Be
actually...
quiet. You haven't thanked Judge Brack for the trouble he's gone through.
Oh, nonsense. It was a pleasure to meet.
You are a friend indeed. But here's Thea, all impatience to go. Au revoir, Judge. I shall be back presently.
So, is your wife tolerably satisfied?
Yes, we can't thank you sufficiently. She does talk of a little rearrangement here and there. A few things are still wanting, but we might have to buy some additional trifles.
Indeed.
But you do not worry about that, Judge. Hedda said she will look after what is wanting herself. Shan't we sit down, huh?
Yes, okay. Well, thanks for a moment, but there's one thing I would like to talk to you about, my dear Tessman.
Indeed. I suppose is the serious part of the frolic that is coming now, huh?
See, the money question isn't very pressing. Although, for that matter, I wish we should have gone a bit more economically to work.
But, that would have never done. Judge, you who know Hedda so well, I couldn't possibly ask her to put up with a shabby style of living.
No, but, that is just the difficulty, Tessman.
And in any case, it can't be long before I receive my appointment, huh?
Well, Tessman, such things are often apt to hang fire for a long time.
Have you heard anything definite yet?
Nothing exactly definite, but by the way, I have a piece of news for you.
Well,
Your old friend Eilert Lovborg has returned to town.
I know that already.
Really? How did you hear that?
From that lady that just went out with Hedda,
What was the name? I didn't quite catch that.
Mrs. Elvsted.
Sheriff Elvsted's wife. Oh, yes. Eilert had been living up in the regions, I remember.
Yes, and I hear he's quite a reformed character.
So they say.
And that he has published a new book.
Oh, yes, indeed he has.
And it has made some sensation.
Quite an unusual sensation, Tessman.
Isn't that good news? I felt so grieved to think that a man of such extraordinary talents had gone so irretrievably to ruin.
Oh, that is what everybody else thought, Tessman.
But I cannot imagine what he will take to now. How in the world will he be able to make his living, huh?
Tessman is forever worried about how others will make a living.
Well, you see, Hedda dear, we were talking about the poor Eilert Lovborg.
Indeed, what is the matter with him?
Well, you see, he's run through all his property long ago, and he can scarcely write a new book every year, so I really can't see what is to become of him.
Well, perhaps I can give you some information on that point.
Oh, indeed.
See, you must remember, Tessman, that his relations had a good deal of influence.
Well, unfortunately, his relations have entirely washed their hands of him.
At one point of time, they called him the hope of this family.
At one point, yes, but he's put an end to all that.
Who knows? I hear he's reclaimed himself.
Yes, and this book that he has published.
Well, I hope they may find something for him to do. I've also written to him to come see us this evening, Hedda dear.
My dear Tessman, you booked for my bachelor's party this evening. You had promised at the pier last night.
Had you forgotten? Tessman?
Yes, I had utterly forgotten.
But never mind, for you may be sure he will not come.
And how can you be so sure of that?
Mr. Tessman, and you too, Mrs. Tessman. I ought not to keep you in the dark about something. Something that concerns
Eilert.
both you and him.
Well, out with it, Judge.
Well, you must be prepared to find your appointment deferred longer than you desired or expected.
Is there some hitch about it, huh?
The nomination may perhaps now be made conditional on the results of a competition, you see.
Competition? Don't think of that, Hedda, but who can my competitor be? Surely not...
Precisely, Eilert Lovborg.
No, it's impossible.
Well, in any case, Mrs. Hedda, I must tell you, as a matter of fact, it is best you know how things stand at this moment before you set about those little purchases I hear you threatening.
This will make no difference.
Yeah, indeed. Well, then I've said what I had to say. I'd be better heading back to town. And Tessman, I shall see you on the way back from my afternoon walk and take you to our party this evening.
Yes. The news is quite upsetting, Judge.
Goodbye, Judge.
Goodbye, ma'am.
Be sure to call in this
I will,
afternoon.
definitely. Thank you.
Goodbye, Judge. Oh, Hedda, one should never rush into adventures, huh?
Do you do that?
Yes. There's no denying that it was adventurous to set up a house upon mere expectations.
Yes, I guess you're right there.
Well, Hedda, in any case, we still have our beautiful house, the house we both loved, I may almost say, huh?
It was part of our compact that we should go into society, that we keep an open house.
Yes, Hedda. If you only knew how much I'd been looking forward to that, to see you as a hostess in a select circle, huh?
Of course, I cannot think of the man in livery I was to have.
Oh no, it would be out of the question for us to keep a footman just yet.
And the saddle horse I had to have?
Saddle horse?
I can't think of that now either.
No. Well, that's as clear as daylight.
But at least there's something to kill time with in the meantime.
Oh, good heavens, what would that be, Hedda?
My pistols, George.
Your pistols?
General Gabler's pistols?
Oh, Hedda, don't touch those dangerous things. Oh, for my sake, Hedda, huh?
There you are again, Judge.
Well, as you see, Mrs. Tessman. Hey, no, don't stand aiming at me.
This is what you get for coming in through the back door.
What the deuce? I mean, sweet Jesus, are you out of your senses?
Dear me, did I happen to hit you?
I mean, I wish you would let these pranks alone.
Come in then, Judge.
I mean, what the deuce, Miss Hedda? I mean, what were you shooting at?
I was only shooting in the air.
Aren't you tired of this sport yet? Allow me, ma'am. I know this pistol well. Where's the case? Okay, here it is. Well, we will not be playing this sport anymore today.
Then what in heaven's name will you have me do with myself?
Well, have you had no visitors?
Not one.
And is Tessman not at home either?
No, he rushed off to his aunt's soon after lunch.
How stupid of me not to have thought of that, Miss Hedda.
Stupid. Why stupid?
Yeah, because if I had known, I would have come a bit earlier, you see.
Then you would have found no one to receive you. I was in my dressing room, changing all afternoon.
Oh, is it? But is there no little sort of a parley, chink, through which we could hold a parley through?
You've forgotten to arrange one.
Oh, that was another piece of stupidity, Miss Hedda.
Well, we must just settle down here. Tessman will not be back for a while now.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I spoke first.
well, let us have a cozy little chat, Miss Hedda.
Does it not seem like an eternity since we had our last talk? I mean, our real talk. I don't count those little words this morning and last night.
You mean our last confidential talk, our last tete-a-tete?
Well, yes, since you put it so.
No, not a day passed that I wished you were home again, Miss Hedda.
Not a day has passed that I haven't wished the exact same thing.
Really? I mean, you too, Miss Hedda. But I thought you had been enjoying your wedding tour so much.
You can be sure of that.
Tessman's letters spoke of nothing but happiness.
see, Tessman finds nothing more interesting than grubbing in old libraries and making copies of old parchment or whatever you call them.
But that is his vocation in life, or part of it at any rate.
Well, yes, when it's your vocation in life, but how would I have been, Judge?
Oh, do you really say so? I mean, in downright earnest?
I mean, you can surely understand it. To go whole 6 months without meeting anyone we know or anyone who's interested in the same things as we are.
Oh, I too should feel that, a deprivation of sorts.
Yes. And then what I found the most intolerable of all
Well?
was to be in the company of one and the same person everlastingly.
In morning, noon, and at night. Is it at all possible times and seasons?
I said everlastingly.
Oh, just so. But with our excellent Tessman, I thought, one could...
You see, Tessman is a specialist.
Undeniable.
And specialists are not at all amusing to travel with.
No, not even the specialist one happens to love.
Love, don't use that sickening word.
Sarah, what do you say?
You can surely understand it to hear nothing of anything else but the history of civilization, morning, noon and night.
Everlastingly, you mean?
Yes, and then this matter of the domestic industry, of the Brabant, that is what was the most disgusting part of it all.
No, but tell me one thing, how am I to understand your,
My accepting George Tessman, you mean?
Okay, let us put it so.
Oh, Judge, do you see anything so wonderful in that?
Yes, and no.
You see, I'd positively danced myself tired, Judge. My day was done. No, I shouldn't say that, not think it either.
You have assuredly no reason to.
Reasons. And then George, you must admit, his correctness himself.
Yes, I mean, his correctness and respectability are beyond question, Madam Hedda.
And I don't see something completely ridiculous about him, do you?
Ridiculous? No, I wouldn't exactly say so.
And his powers of research at any rate are untiring. I don't see why he shouldn't come to the front one day after all.
Yes, I mean, I thought you, like everyone else, expected him to, attain that highest distinction one day.
Yes, so I did. And then he was so bent to provide for me at all hazards. I don't see why I shouldn't have accepted his offer.
Yeah, I mean, no, if you look at it in that light, you see.
I mean, it was more than what my other admirers were willing to do for me.
I can't speak about the rest of them, Miss Hedda, but as far as I'm concerned, you know quite well I've always cherished a special thing for marriage as a tie, for marriage as an institution, you see.
Oh, Judge Brack, I never cherished any real hopes with regard to you.
See, all that I require, is a pleasant and intimate interior where I can make myself useful in every possible way, and I can come and go freely as a trusted friend.
Of the master of the house, you mean?
Of the mistress, first of all, and yes, of the master too, but in the second place. Such a triangular friendship, if I may call it so, would be such a convenience to all the parties, you see.
Yes, I very much longed for someone to make a third on our wedding journey.
But fortunately, your wedding journey is now over, madam.
No, it's not. Not by a long run. I merely stopped at a station.
Where the passengers often, jump out and move about a little.
I never jump out.
Really?
Yes, because there's always someone standing by to...
Oh, to stare at your beautiful ankles, you mean?
Precisely.
Oh, dear me, no.
But I won't have it. I would much rather keep my place exactly where it is and continue the tete-a-tete.
But what if a third person were to jump in and, join the couple?
That is another matter.
A trusted and, sympathetic friend.
With a fund of conversation on all sorts of lively topics.
And not the least bit of a specialist, you see?
Yes. That would be a relief indeed.
Oh. I think the triangle seems to be complete.
And on goes the train.
Oh, what a load for a long day, Hedda. I'm positively perspired. Oh, you're there already, Judge?
Oh, yes.
But that didn't tell me.
I had actually come through the garden.
What books have you got there, George?
Just some books on my special subjects, quite indispensable to me.
Your special subject?
Books on this special subject, you see, Major.
Do you need more books on your special subjects, George?
Oh, yes, of course, Hedda. One can never have too many of them. Of course, one must keep up with all that is being written and published, you see.
Yes, I suppose one must.
And look here, I've got hold of Eilert Lovborg's new book too. Perhaps you would like to glance through it?
No, thank you. Perhaps later?
I read into it a little on the way home.
So, what do you think of it as a specialist?
Well, I think it shows quite remarkable soundness of judgment. He's never written like that before, you see. But now I must take all these into my study. I'm longing to cut these. And then I must get ready. I suppose we need not start just yet, huh?
No, dear, no. I'm not in the slightest of hurry.
Then I will take my time.
Yeah, please.
By the way, Hedda, Aunt Julia said that she cannot come this evening.
Not coming? Is it about the bonnet again?
Oh, no, how could you think of such a thing of Aunt Julia? Fancy. The fact is Aunt Rena is very ill.
She always is.
But today she's much worse than usual, dear.
Well, then I suppose her sister must stay with her. I will bear my disappointment.
Hedda, you cannot imagine how happy Aunt Julia seemed to be that she came home looking so flourishing.
Those everlasting aunts.
What?
Nothing.
All right.
What bonnet were you talking about?
There was this little episode with Aunt Julia this morning. She had let her old bonnet lying about on the chair there, and I pretended to think it was the servant.
Oh, Miss Green, Hedda. Oh, you got such a great, excellent old lady too.
I don't know, these impulses just come over me all the time and I don't know what to do with them.
You're not really happy, that is a person, isn't it?
I don't see any reason why I should be happy. Perhaps you can give me one.
Amongst the rest, I think now that you've got exactly the home that you had set your heart upon.
Do you two believe in that legend?
Or is there nothing in this then?
Oh, there's something in it. Well, there's this in it, Judge. That one evening last summer, I was making use of Tessman to see me home from a party.
Unfortunately, I was going quite a different way that time.
Oh yes, you were going quite a different way last summer.
Quite consider. But then you and Tessman.
Anyway, yeah, so we were passing by this house and out of a moment of pure thoughtlessness, I just happened to mention how I would like to live here one day.
Nothing more than that.
Not that evening.
Afterwards.
Yes, my thoughtlessness did have consequences.
That unfortunately, that too often happens.
Yes, yes. So you see, it was this enthusiasm for Secretary Fox's villa that first constituted a bond of sympathy between me and George. From that came our engagement, from that our wedding, from that our wedding journey, and the rest of it all.
Oh, this is exquisite, and you never really cared a rap about this all this time?
God knows I didn't.
But now, now that we have made it so home-like for you, what do you think?
It always seems to smell of lavender and dried rose leaves.
Really?
Maybe it's Miss Tessman that brought it in with her.
Oh, no, I will not be her. I'm sure it has to be the legacy of the late Secretary Fox.
Yes, it does have an odor of mortality to it. Reminds me of a bouquet the day after the ball. Oh, Judge, you don't know how bored I shall be here.
Why don't you find some sort of a vocation in life, Miss Hedda?
A vocation? That should interest me.
Of course, if possible, why not?
Well, I often think if I should be... No, but that will never do.
Please let me hear what it is.
If I shouldn't get Tessman into politics?
What? Politics? And Tessman? Politics is not at all his thing, not at all his line.
No, but if I can get him into it all the same.
But why? What satisfaction would you get in getting Tessman into politics? And if that is not meant for him, why would you want to drive him into it?
Because I'm bored, you see. So you think it quite out of the question that he'll ever get into the ministry?
Well, you see, Miss Hedda, to get into the ministry, one has to be a totally rich man.
Yes. It's this genteel poverty that I've managed to slip into. That is what makes life so ridiculous, for that is what it is.
So I realize, the faults lay elsewhere.
Where?
You never really have been through some really stimulating experience, you see.
Anything serious, you mean?
Well, you can call it so, but now perhaps you may have one stored.
Oh, you're talking about that wretched professorship of his. I'm telling you, I will have nothing to do with it. It must be his own business.
No, I dare say not, but now what they call in elegant language, if a solemn responsibility were to come upon you, a new responsibility.
Be quiet. Nothing of that sort will ever happen.
Oh, we will look into it at the very outside.
I have no turn for any such thing. No responsibilities for me.
You're so unlike the generality of women to have no turn for duties which...
Be quiet, I'm telling you. I often think there's only one thing that I have any turn for.
Okay, and what is that, if I may ask?
Boring myself to death. Now you know, Judge Brack.
Come.
Oh yes, it's the professor.
Just relax yourself.
Hedda, has no message come from Eilert Lovborg yet? No. Well, then you see he'll be here presently.
Oh, do you really think he will come?
I'm almost sure of it. For what you were telling us this morning must have been a mere floating rumor.
You think so?
I'm sure of it. Aunt Julia said that she did not believe for a moment that he would ever stand my way again. Fancy that.
That's all right then.
But you must let me wait for him as long as possible.
We have plenty of time, and none of my guests would arrive before 7 or half past.
And meanwhile, we can keep Hedda company and see what happens, huh?
And at worst, Mr. Lovborg will remain here with me.
Madam, what do you mean by at the worst?
If he won't go to this party of yours.
But Hedda dear, do you think it would quite do for him to remain here with you? You remember Aunt Julia's not coming this evening.
No, but Mrs. Elvsted is coming. We three can have a cup of tea together.
Oh yes, that will be all right.
There's a gentleman asking if you're at home.
Yes, please show him.
I'm sure it is he. Fancy that. Well, my dear Eilert, so at last we meet again, huh?
Thanks for your letters, Tessman. Will you too shake hands with me, Mrs. Tessman?
I am glad to see you, Mr. Lovborg. I don't know if you two gentlemen...
Judge Brack, I think?
Oh, yes, in the old days.
And now, you must make yourself entirely at home. For I hear that you're going to settle in town again, huh?
Oh, yes, I am.
Quite right. And let me tell you, I've got hold of your new book too. But I haven't had the time to read it yet.
Oh, you may spare yourself the trouble.
Why so?
Because there's very little in it.
Just fancy. How can you say so?
It has been very much praised, I hear.
That is what I wanted, so I put nothing into the book but what everyone would agree with.
Very wise of him.
Yes, but my dear Eilert...
For now, I wish to win myself a position again to make a fresh start.
Oh, so that is what you wish to do, huh?
But when this one appears, George Tessman, you will have to read it because this is the real book. The book I've put my true self into.
Well, what is it?
It is the continuation.
The continuation of what?
Of the book.
Of the new book?
Of course.
But my dear Eilert, does it not come down to our own days?
Yes, it does, and this one deals about the future.
But good heavens, we know nothing of the future.
No, but there's a thing or two to be said about it all the same. Look here.
Oh, why that's not your handwriting?
I dictated it. It falls down into two sections. Here, the first, dealing with the civilizing forces of the future, and here, the forecasting the probable line of development.
How odd now. I would have never thought of writing anything of that sort.
I brought it thinking I might be able to read you a little this evening.
That was very good of you, Eilert, but this evening, I don't see how we can manage that.
Well, then there's no hurry, some other time then.
Oh, no, I must tell you, Mr. Lovborg, I have a sort of party at my home this evening, mainly in the honor of Tessman, you see.
Oh, then I shall not detain you. Thank you very much.
No, but listen, would you not do us the favor of joining us?
Oh, actually, I can't. Thank you very much.
But we shall be quite a select little circle, and we shall have a lively time, as Mr. Tessman says.
No doubt, but nevertheless,
you can also bring your manuscript with you and read it out to Tessman at my home. I could give you a room to yourselves.
Yes, think of that, Eilert. Why shouldn't you, huh?
Tessman, if he would rather really not, I'm sure he's much more inclined to remain here with me.
With you, Mrs. Tessman?
Yes, and Mrs. Elvsted.
I saw her for a moment this morning.
Did you? Well, she's coming this evening. So you see, you're almost bound to remain, otherwise there'll be no one to see you home.
That is true. Many thanks, Mrs. Tessman. In that case, I shall remain.
Then I have an order or two more to give to the servant.
But tell me, Eilert, is it the new subject, the future that you're going to lecture about?
Yes, I am.
They told me at the booksellers that you're going to deliver a course of lectures this autumn.
That is my intention, but I hope you won't take it ill, Tessman.
Oh no, not in the least, but could you...
I can quite understand it must be very disagreeable to you.
Oh, I can't expect you out of consideration for me to...
But I shall wait until you've got your letter of appointment.
Oh, will you wait? Yes, but are you not going to compete with me, huh?
No, it's only the moral victory that I care for.
Why, bless me! Then Aunt Julia was right after all. Hedda, this thing, Lovborg is not going to stand in our way.
Our way? Pray leave me out of the question.
And you judge, Brack. What do you say to this, huh?
Moral victory may all be very fine with me.
Yes, but all the same.
You stand there looking as if you were thunderstruck.
So I am, I almost think.
Don't you see, Mr. A thunderstorm has just passed over.
Will you gentlemen not take a glass of cold punch?
Oh, startup cup wouldn't come amiss.
A capital idea, Hedda, just the thing. Now that the weight has been taken off my head.
Will you not join them, Mr. Lovborg?
No, nothing for me. Thank you very much.
Hey, oh, why, bless me. Cold punch is surely not poison.
Perhaps not for everyone.
I will keep Mr. Lovborg company.
Oh, yes, I do.
Do you care to look at some photographs, Mr. Lovborg? You see, Tessman and I made a trip to the Tyrol on our way home. Do you see that group of mountains, Mr. Lovborg? That's the Ortler group. See, Tessman has written the name underneath. The Ortler group near Mairen.
Hedda Gabler.
Hush.
Hedda Gabler.
That was my name in the old days, when you two knew each other.
And I must teach myself never to say Hedda Gabler ever again.
Yes, you must.
No.
And you ought to practice in time. The sooner the better, I think.
Hedda Gabler married. And married to George Tessman?
Yes, so the world goes.
Oh, Hedda, how could you go?
What? Can't allow this.
What do you mean?
Hedda?
Hush. Look at these mountains, Mr. Lovborg. Just look at those peaks. What was the name of the curious peaks here?
Oh, let me see. Those are the Dolomites.
Yes, that's the Dolomites, Mr. Lovborg.
Hedda dear, I only came to ask whether I shouldn't bring you a little punch for yourself at any rate.
Oh yes, please do. And a few biscuits.
No cigarettes?
No.
Alright, very well then.
How could you go ahead and do this, Hedda?
If you continue to say Hedda to me, I won't talk to you.
Must I not say Hedda even when we are alone?
No. You can think it, but you mustn't say it.
I can quite understand it must be an offense against George Tessman, the man you love.
Love.
You
What
don't.
an idea.
So you don't love him then?
But I won't hear of any sort of unfaithfulness. Remember that.
Answer me one thing, Hedda.
Here you are. Isn't this tempting, huh?
Why do you bring it yourself?
Because I think it's such fun to wait upon you, Hedda.
But you've brought out 2 glasses.
Uh,
Mr. Lovborg said he wouldn't have any, remember?
But Mrs. Elvsted will be here soon, won't she?
Oh, yes. By the way, Mrs. Elvsted.
Had you forgotten her, huh?
You were just so absorbed in these photographs. Do you remember this little village, dear?
Oh, it's that one beneath the Brenner Pass and where we spent the night and met that lively party of tourists.
Exactly, that's it.
Fancy if we could only have had you with us, Eilert, huh?
Answer me one thing, Hedda.
Well,
Was there no love in your friendship for me either? Not a spark, not a tinge of love in it?
I wonder if there was. To me, you were 2 good comrades, 2 thoroughly intimate friends. You particularly were frankness itself.
It was you that made me so.
As I look back upon it all, I think there was something beautiful, something daring in that secret intimacy, in that comradeship that no other creature so much has dreamed of.
Yes. Yes, Hedda, when I'd come to your father's in the afternoon and the general sat over the windowsill with his back towards us,
And we 2 on the corner sofa,
always with the same illustrated paper before us.
for the want of an album, yes.
Oh, Hedda, what was the power in you that made me say all of those things? I mean, there I would sit and confess to you about my days and nights of devilment and tell you about my escapades. I just can't understand what was the power in you that made me say those confessions to you.
You think it was any power in me?
How else can I explain it? And all those roundabout questions you used to put me to?
That you understood so particularly well?
How could you question me like that? Question me quite so frankly.
In roundabout terms, please
But-
observe.
Frankly, nevertheless.
And how,
Question me about like all that sort of thing.
and how could you answer, Mr. Lovborg?
That is just what I can't understand in looking back upon it. But tell me now, Hedda, was there no love at the bottom of our friendship? Did you not feel that if I made you my confessor, you could purge my stains away? Was it not so?
No, not quite.
What was your motive then?
Do you think it quite incomprehensible that a young girl, when it can be done without anyone else knowing,
Well,
should like to have a peep into a world which she is forbidden to know anything of?
So that was it.
Partly I almost think.
Comradeship in the thirst for life. But why should that at any rate have not continued?
The fault was yours.
It was you that broke with me.
Yes, when our friendship threatened to develop into something more serious.
Oh,
How dare you, Eilert Lovborg? How could you think of wronging your frank comrade like that?
then why didn't you carry out your threat then, huh? Why did you not shoot me down?
Because I have such a dread of scandal.
Yes, Hedda, you're a coward at heart.
A terrible coward. But it was a fortunate thing for you. And now you found ample consolation up at the Elvsted.
I know what he has confided to you.
Perhaps you've confided something to her about us.
Not a word. She is too stupid to understand anything of that sort.
Stupid.
She is stupid in matters of that sort.
And I'm cowardly. Well, I will confide something to you now, Mr. Lovborg.
Yes?
The fact that I dared not shoot you down,
Well?
that was not my arrant cowardice that evening.
Oh, Hedda. Hedda, now I begin to see the hidden reason beneath our comradeship. You and I, after all, it was your craving for life that made
I
us so...
believe nothing of that sort. Oh, my darling Thea, you have no idea how much I've been longing for you.
Thought I'd go and talk to your husband for a moment.
No, let those 2 be. They'll soon be going.
Are they going out?
Yes, to a supper party.
Not you.
No.
Mr. Lovborg remains here with us.
Oh, how nice it is here.
Thea, you'll be good enough to sit here. I'll sit between you 2.
Just as you please.
Is she not lovely to look at?
Only to look at.
And then she's... Oh yes, for we two, she and I, we are two real comrades. We have absolute faith in each other, so we can talk to each other with complete frankness.
Not roundabout, Mr. Lovborg.
Oh, how happy I am here. But only thing he says I have inspired him too.
Oh, does he say that?
And then she's so brave.
Oh, good heavens, am I brave?
Exceedingly when your comrade is concerned.
Exceedingly, when your comrade is concerned. Yes. Courage, if only one had that.
What then? What do you mean?
Perhaps life would be livable after all. But now, Thea, you must have a glass of cold punch.
Oh no, I never take anything of that sort.
You then, Mr. Lovborg?
Oh no, right. Thank you very much.
No, he doesn't either.
But if I say you shall,
Well, that would be of no use.
then I, poor creature, have no sort of power over you.
Not in that respect.
But I think you really ought to have some, for your own sake.
How so?
Otherwise, people might be apt to suspect
Indeed.
that in your heart of hearts you're not quite confident in yourself.
People might suspect whatever they wish to for the moment.
Yes, let them.
I mean, I saw it clearly in Judge Brack's face a moment ago.
What did you see?
His contemptuous smile when you dared not go with them into the inner room.
Dare not? I mean, I prefer to sit here and talk to you.
Yes, what could be more natural, Hedda?
But the judge could not see it. And I say too, the way he looked at Tessman and smiled at him when you dared not go to them with the party.
Dare not?
I don't say so, but the Judge Brack thinks it.
Well, let him.
Yes, how can you doubt that?
You're not going then?
No, I prefer to stay with you and Thea.
Yes.
Firm as a rock, faithful to your principles now and forever. That is how a man should be. See, Thea, you had nothing to worry about when you came to us in such a state of distraction.
Distraction?
Hedda, you have not the slightest of reason to be in such mortal terror for him.
What is this, Mrs. Tessman?
Hedda, what are you doing? What are you saying?
Be quiet, they can hear you.
So she was in mortal terror on my account.
Hedda, now you've ruined everything.
So that was my comrade's frank confidence in me, huh? Here's to your health, yeah?
Hedda, how could you do this?
I do it. Hi, are you crazy?
Here's to your health too, Mrs. Tessman. Thanks for the truth. Hooray to the truth.
No more just now. You have to go out to supper, remember?
No, Hedda.
Now, Thea, tell me the truth.
Yes.
Did your husband know that you were to come after me?
Hedda, do you hear what he's asking?
Was it fixed between your husband and you that you were to come to town and look after me, or perhaps the sheriff himself sent you to me? Or was it the office table that he was missing me at, or probably he needed another hand at the cards table, right?
Lovborg, let me tell you.
Here's to the old sheriff too, huh? Cheers to the old sheriff.
No more just now. You have to read Tessman your manuscript, remember?
It was stupid of me, all this, Thea. I mean, my dear comrade, please don't get me wrong. Please don't be angry with me. I mean, both you and the world shall see that if I have fallen once, I have risen again, and that's thanks to you, Thea.
Oh, heaven be praised.
Well, Mrs. Tessman, I think our time has come.
Yes, I suppose it has.
Mine too, Judge Brack.
Lovborg, don't do it.
Sit down.
Are you coming after all?
You were kind enough to invite me. Yes, many thanks.
Delighted.
I shall like to show you a thing or two before I send it to the printers, huh?
That would be delightful, Eilert, but Hedda dear, how's Mrs. Elvsted to get home, huh?
Mrs. Elvsted.
Oh,
That can be managed.
yes, Mrs. Elvsted. I can come back and pick you up at around 10 or thereabouts. Will that do, Mrs. Tessman?
Yes, that will do capitally.
But Hedda dear, don't expect me so early, alright?
You can stay back as far as you'd like.
Well, then, Mr. Lovborg, I shall remain here until you come.
Pray do, Mrs. Elvsted.
No, then off goes the excursion train, gentlemen, and we shall have a lively time, as a certain fair lady puts it.
Oh, if the fair lady could only be unseen presently,
But why unseen, madam?
so she could see some of this liveliness firsthand.
I would not advise the fair lady to try it.
Oh, Kaura, you're a good one. Fancy that.
Many thanks.
About 10 o'clock or thereabouts.
Goodbye, lady.
Goodbye.
Have a nice party, you say.
Yes, so.
What will come of all this?
At 10 o'clock he will be here with vine leaves in his hair. I can see him already, flushed and fearless. He will. And then he would have regained control over himself. He will be a free man for the rest of his days.
Only if he comes as you see him now.
He will come just as I see him and not otherwise. You see, you may doubt him for as long as you'd like. I have faith in him. Now, we two shall...
You have some hidden motive in this, Hedda.
I do. For once I want to have the power to mold a real destiny.
Have you moved the power?
No, I've never had it.
Not your husband's?
Do you really think that's worth the trouble? Oh, Priya, you have no idea how poor I am and how rich fate has made you. Oh, I shall burn your hair off after all then.
Hedda, let me go! Let me go! I'm afraid of you!
Tea is laid in the dining room.
Oh, yes, we're coming.
No, I'll go home.
Oh, no,
at once.
nonsense, you little stupid. We'll have a cup of tea first. And then Eilert Lovborg will be here at 10.
Not yet. Not yet. Has anyone come back yet?
Yes, the girl has just brought this letter.
Whatever, give it to me.
No, it's for Dr. Tessman. Mrs. Tessman's servant brought it. I laid it here on the table.
Yes.
I better put out the lamp. It's smoking.
Yes, put it out. It must soon be daylight now.
It is daylight already, ma'am.
Good day and no one has come back yet.
God bless you, ma'am. I guess how it would be.
Guessed.
Yes, when a certain person had come back to town and we heard enough about that gentleman before now and he went off with them.
Don't speak so loudly. Waken Mrs. Tessman.
Shall I put some good wine?
Thanks, not for me.
What was that?
It was only the servant.
You're here now, remember? What o'clock is it here?
It's past 7.
When did Tessman come?
He's not come back.
Not home yet?
No one has come.
To think of us sitting here watching.
How I watched and waited for him.
There's nothing to be so concerned about. I can see exactly what happened.
Well, what happened? Won't you tell me?
Of course, it's been a very late affair at Judge Brack's. And George hasn't bothered to come and ring us up in the middle of the night.
But then where can he have gone?
Of course, to his aunt's. They have his old room prepared over there.
No, that can't be. As the letter has just come from Miss Tessman, there it lies.
Indeed. There's in Aunt Julia's hand. Well, then he's remained at Judge Brack's. Yeah, and he's sleeping there, and Eilert Lovborg is sitting there reading his manuscript with vine leaves in his hair.
And how you're saying things you don't believe a bit.
You really are a blockhead, Thea.
Yes, I suppose I am.
And how terribly tired you look.
Yes, I'm mortally tired.
Well, then you must do as I tell you. Come, go into my room and have a little sleep.
I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yes, you shall. Come.
Well, but your husband is certain to come soon now. And then I want to know at once. If
I will make you when he comes.
you promise me, Hedda.
Yes, rely upon me. Now go in and sleep.
Thanks. Did you want anything, ma'am?
Yes, put some more wood in the fire, I'm shivering.
Bless me and meet up with you. That was a ring at the front door, ma'am.
Yes, go see who it is. I'll see to the phone.
It was Santwana.
Good morning.
Good heavens! Are you up so early, huh?
Yes, I'm up very early this morning.
And I never doubted you were still sound asleep. Fancy that!
Shout. Mrs. Elvsted is asleep in my room.
Has she been here all night?
Yes, since no one came to fetch her.
Ah, to be sure.
Well, did you enjoy yourself?
Have you been anxious about you?
I could never care to be anxious, but I asked if you enjoyed yourself.
Well, yes, for once in a way. Especially at the beginning of the evening, for then I'll tell me a part of his book. And we arrived an hour too early, fancy that, and Brack had all sorts of arrangements to make, so I'll attract me.
Well, and then?
Oh, Hedda, you cannot conceive what book that is going to be. I believe it is one of the most remarkable things that have ever been written. Fancy that.
I don't care about that.
I must make a confession to you, Hedda. When I had finished reading, a horrid feeling came over me.
A horrid feeling.
Yes, I felt jealous of Eilert for having had it in him to write such a book. Only think, Hedda.
I am thinking.
I think that him with all his gifts should be irretrievable after all.
Do you mean to say he has more courage than the rest?
Oh, not at all. What I mean to say is, he's incapable of taking his pleasure in moderation.
That's what happened. What came of it all?
I think it might be best described as a rampage, Hedda.
Had he vine leaves in his hair?
Vine leaf? No, I saw nothing of that sort. But he did make a long, rambling speech about a woman that had inspired him in his work. Yes, that was the phrase he used.
Did he name her?
No, he did not, but I can't help thinking he meant Mrs. Elvsted. You may be sure he did.
Yes. Where did you part from him?
On the way back to town, the last of us at any rate all together, and Brack came with us too, and you see we agreed to take Eilert back home, for he had had more than that was good for him.
I dare say.
But now comes this strange part of it, or I should rather say a melancholy part of it. I'm almost ashamed on Eilert's account to tell you.
Go on.
Well, you see, as we were getting near town, I happened to drop back a little behind the others, just for a minute or two. Fancy that.
Yes, then?
And as I hurried after them, what do you think I found on the wayside, huh?
How should I know?
Well, you mustn't speak of it to a soldier, promise me, for Eilert's sake. See, I found this.
Is that not the parcel you had with him yesterday?
Yes, it is the whole of his irreplaceable manuscript, and he'd gone and lost it and knew nothing about it. So deplorably.
Why did you not bring it back to him at once?
I didn't dare to, for the strain he was there in.
Did you tell any of the others you had it?
No, for you can understand, I wouldn't do that for Eilert's sake.
So no one knows Eilert Lovborg's manuscript is in your possession?
No, and no one must know about it.
What did you say to him afterwards?
I didn't talk to him again at all, for you see, when we got him on the streets, he or two or three of the others gave us the slip and disappeared. Fancy that.
Indeed. They
And
must have taken him home.
I suppose they must have, and Brack too left us.
And what have you been doing with yourself since then?
Well, you see, I went home to a party fellow and had my morning coffee with him. Or I should rather say my night coffee, huh? But now that I've rested a little and given poor Eilert time to have a sleep out, I should take this back to him.
Don't go back immediately. Let me read it first.
I mustn't, Hedda. I really mustn't.
You must not.
For just think, what state of despair he will be in when he wakes up and misses the manuscript. He has no copy of it. You must know, he told me so.
Can such a thing not be reproduced, written again?
No, I don't think that would be possible. For the inspiration, you see.
Suppose it must depend on that. By the way, a letter came for you from Aunt Julia. It came this morning.
Oh, Hedda, this says that poor Aunt Trina is dying.
We were prepared for that.
And that if I want to see her again, I must make haste. I'll run into them at once.
Will you run?
Oh, Hedda, if you could only make up your mind and come with me. Just think, Hedda.
No, Tessman, you mustn't ask me of that. You know I loathe all sorts of ugliness. I can't look upon sickness and death.
Well, then my hat in the bathroom. I hope I may not come too late, Hedda, huh?
Well, if you run...
Judge Brack is at the door and wishes to know if he may come in.
At this time, I can't possibly see him.
No, but I can. Ask him to come in. The script, Tessman.
Yes.
I'll keep it till you come back. You are an early bird, I must say.
Well, as you see, Mrs. Tessman. Are you on the move too?
Yes, I must rush to my aunt. Fancy the invited ones lying at next door to a teacher.
Oh dear me, is she indeed? Then on no account let me detain you at this particular moment.
Yes, I must rush. Goodbye, aunt.
Well, I hear you've been making quite a lively night at your rooms. That's that?
Well, I assure you I haven't had my clothes off.
Not you either?
As you can see, but what has Tessman been telling you of the night's adventures?
Some tiresome story about a coffee party or the other.
I have actually heard about that coffee party already, but Eilert Lovborg was not with them, I fancy.
No, they are taking him home, I think.
Tessman too?
No, but some of the others.
George Tessman is really an ingenuous creature, let me tell you, Miss Hedda.
I dare say he is. Well, is there something behind all this?
There perhaps may be.
Well, sit down and tell your story in comfort, Judge.
Well, Miss Hedda, I must tell you I had special reasons to keep track of my guests last evening.
Of Eilert Lovborg amongst the rest, perhaps?
Frankly, yes.
Now you make me really curious, Judge.
Do you know where Miss Lovborg and a couple of the others spent their nights, Miss Hedda?
If it's not quite unmentionable, tell me.
Well, it's not at all unmentionable. They seem to have put in an appearance at a particularly animated dance performance.
Of the lively kind?
Of the very liveliest, you see.
And then? What came of it all?
Well,
Tell me more.
Eilert Lovborg and a couple of the others were invited in advance. And I knew all about this. But he had refused the invitation. For now, you know, as he's sort of that changed man.
Up at the Elvsted, yes. But he went nonetheless.
Yes, because unhappily the spirits moved him at my home last evening.
Yes, I heard he found inspiration.
A pretty violent inspiration at that, Madam Hedda. That seemed to have completely altered his purpose. And unfortunately, you know, we men folk are not often as firm on our principles as we ought to be.
Well, I'm sure you are an exception, Judge Brack. But as to Eilert Lovborg...
Well, to make a long story short, he ended up at Mademoiselle Diana's rooms.
Mademoiselle Diana?
It was Mademoiselle Diana who was giving out that sort of animated dance performance, you see, to a select circle of her lady admirers and friends.
Is she a singer?
Precisely.
A red-haired woman?
Yes, and, you know, in her leisure moments, yes. You sure have heard about her. But let me tell you, she's a mighty huntress of men too, Miss Hedda. And Eilert Lovborg was one of her most enthusiastic protectors in the days of his glory.
How did all of this end?
Far from amicably, it appears. What started as the most tender of meetings, they seem to have come to blows.
Lovborg and she?
Yes, he accused her and her friends of having robbed him. He declared that his pocketbook, amongst other valuables, went missing. In short, he seems to have created a violent resistance.
What came of it all?
You see, he created a sort of violent resistance, and police arrived at the scene at last.
The police?
Yes, and I must say that this would prove to be a costly frolic for Eilert Lovborg, the crazy being that he is.
How so?
He seemed to have created a violent resistance with the police. He hit one of the constables on his head, tore the coat off his back. In short, he was marched off to the police station with the rest.
How have you found all this?
From the police themselves.
Tell me, Judge.
The matter will, yes, come into the court then.
The matter will go into court?
Yes, but I would have scarcely bothered about that. But, as a friend of the family, I thought it was my duty to supply you and Tessman with the full account of his nocturnal exploits.
Why so?
Because I have a shrewd suspicion, Madam Hedda, he intends to use you as a sort of blind.
How can you say that?
Good heavens, Miss Hedda, we have eyes in our head. You mark my words, this Mrs. Elvsted will be in no hurry to leave town again.
Well, if there is something between them, I'm sure there's plenty of places where they can meet.
Not a single home. Every respectable household henceforth will be closed against Eilert Lovborg.
And so should my be. Is that what you're saying?
I must confess, it would be more than painful for me if this personage were to be made free of your home. Just imagine how superfluous, how intrusive would it be if he were to force his way
into the triangle.
Precisely. And that would mean I would find myself homeless, you see.
So you want to be the only cock in the basket? That is your aim?
Well, that is sort of my aim, and for that I will fight with every weapon that I can command, Miss Hedda.
You are a dangerous man.
Oh, don't you think so?
I'm beginning to think so.
You don't have to think so, really.
I'm exceedingly glad to think that you have no sort of power over me.
You probably are right at that, Madam Hedda, because if I had, God knows what I might be capable of.
Come now, Judge. That sounds too much like a threat.
Please, Madam Hedda, you don't have to think so. The triangle you see ought to be spontaneously constructed.
There I agree with you.
Really, then I have said what I had to, and I better be heading back to town now. Miss Hedda, goodbye.
Going through the back door?
Yes, I think it seems to be a shortcut for me, you see.
But it is also the back way.
I don't have any objection to back ways, they can be quite exciting at times.
Well, when there's shooting practice going on?
Oh, Madam Hedda, people don't shoot their tame poultry, you see. Goodbye.
When there's only one cock in the basket?
No, sir, no, you can't go now.
I tell you, I must and I will go in there.
Well, I should say this is rather a late hour to call upon Thea, Mr. Lovborg.
You mean rather an early hour to call on you. Pray pardon me.
How did you know she was still here?
They told me at the lodgings that she'd been out all night.
Did you notice something odd about them?
Notice anything?
When you told them that she was out?
No, I didn't. Oh yes, of course, sir. I am dragging her down with me. However, I didn't notice anything. I suppose Tessman is not up yet.
Oh no, he's not.
When did he come home?
Quite late.
Did he tell you anything?
Only that he had a good time at Judge Brack.
Nothing more?
Not that I recall, but I was so sleepy.
So anything could have happened.
At last.
Yes, at last, and too late.
What is too late?
Everything is too late now. It's all over with.
Don't say that. Well,
You will say the same when you hear that.
I won't hear anything. Perhaps you two would like to speak alone?
No, stay. I beg you to stay, please.
Yes, but I won't hear anything, I tell you.
It is not last night's adventures that I want to talk about.
What is it then?
I want to say that now our ways must part.
Part? I knew it.
Yeah. For you and me, there is no future possible.
How can you stand there and say that? Am I not of any service to you anymore?
You can be of no more service to me, dear.
Have we not to go on working together?
Henceforward, I shall do no work.
What am I to do with my life?
You must try to live it as if you've never known me.
I cannot do that.
Try if you can't, yeah. You must go home now.
Never. Never in this world. Where you are, I'll be also. I shall remain with you till the book appears.
The book.
Yes, my book and Thia's, for that is what it is.
Yes, that is what I feel it is. I'll see with my own eyes how honor pour upon you afresh. And the happiness, oh, the happiness. I shall see that.
Thea, our book will never appear.
Never appear.
It can never appear.
Lovborg, what have you done with our manuscript?
Yes, the manuscript.
Where is it?
The manuscript, huh? Well then, I've torn the manuscript into 1,000 pieces.
But that's not...
True, you think?
I mean, if you say so, it must be true, but it sounds
It
so
is
improbable.
true all the same.
Tore his own work into 1,000 pieces.
I've torn my own life into 1,000 pieces, then why shall I not go ahead and tear my life's work as well?
You did this last night.
Yes, I tell you. I tore it into 1,000 pieces and scattered it over the ford. There, see. There is cool sea water, and at any rate, let them drift upon it with the current and the wind, and presently they shall sink.
You know, Lovborg, what you've done with our book. I shall see to my dying day as if you killed a little child.
Yes, it is some sort of child murder.
How could you do it? Think of the child belonged to me too. Oh, it's nothing else. I'll go, Hedda.
But you're not leaving town, Thea?
No. See nothing but darkness before me. So you will not see her home after all, Mr. Lovborg?
Aye, through the streets. Would you have her walking with me?
Of course, I don't know what else might have happened last night. Is it so utterly irretrievable?
It will not happen. It will not end rather with what happened last night. I know that perfectly well. And the fact is that I do not have any taste in that sort of life either. I don't want to start it anew, and she's broken my courage and power of braving life out.
So that pretty little fool has had her fingers in a man's destiny. Nevertheless, how could you treat her so heartlessly?
Oh, please don't say that I was heartless.
To tear the work that has occupied her life for years, you don't call that heartless?
To you, Hedda, I can tell the truth.
The truth?
Yes, but promise me first that what I confide in you now, Thea shall never know.
You have my word.
Then I can tell you that whatever I said right now was untrue.
About the manuscript?
Yes, I've not torn it into 1,000 pieces, and neither have I scattered over the fort.
Then where is it?
I've destroyed it. I've utterly destroyed it.
I don't understand.
Thea said that what I did felt like some sort of child murder.
So she said.
Well, that is not the worst a father can do to its child.
Not the worst?
Suppose now, Hedda, that in the small hours of the morning, a father comes back to the child's mother after a night of riot and debauchery and says, "Listen, I've been out, I've been here and there, in this place and that place, and I've carried my child with to this place and that place, and then I've lost it. I've utterly lost it. I don't know where it is, whose clutches might it have got on to."
When all is said and done, it is only just a book.
Thea's pure soul was there in that book.
Yes, so I understand.
Then you can understand this as well, that for her and me, there is no future possible.
What part do you mean to take on now?
Path. I wish to take no more path, but just put an end to it all, for once and for all.
But Mr. Lovborg, would you not do it beautifully?
Beautifully. With vine leaves in my hair as used to dream of.
No, I've lost my faith in vine leaves. But beautifully nonetheless. Goodbye now, Mr. Lovborg. You must go and never come back here again.
Goodbye, Mrs. Tessman, and give my love to George.
But look here. Take this memento with you.
Is this the memento?
Do you not recognize it? It was pointed at you once.
I should have used it then.
Take it. Do you use it now?
Thanks.
And beautifully. Alice, remember that.
Goodbye, Hedda.
Yes, see, I'm burning your child now. Burning it, Goldilocks. Your child and Eilert.
Hedda, here I am. In mourning, for now, my poor sister has at last found peace.
I've heard the news already, as you can see. Tessman sent me a card.
Yes, he promised me he would, but nevertheless I thought that to Hedda, here in the house of life, I ought myself to bring the tidings of death.
That was very kind of you.
We ought not to have left us right now. This was not the time for Hedda's house to be the house of mourning.
She died quite peacefully, did she not?
Oh yes, her end was so calm, so beautiful. And then she had this unspeakable happiness of seeing George once more, bidding him goodbye. Well, has he not come home yet?
Oh no, he wrote to say he would be detained. But won't you sit down?
No, thank you, my dear Hedda. I should like to, but I have so much to do. I must prepare my dear one for her rest as best as I can.
Can I not help you in any way?
No, dear, you should not think of it. Hedda Tessman must have no hand in such a mournful affair. Nor let her thought dwell on it either, not at this time.
One is not always the mistress of their own thoughts, Miss Tessman.
Ah yes, it is the way of the world. At home we shall be sewing a funeral shroud. And here there will soon be sewing too, I suppose. But of another sort, thank God.
Oh, there you are at last.
You've here, Aunt Julia, with Hedda. Fancy that.
Oh well, I was just going, my dear boy, but have you done all that you promised?
No, I'm afraid I've forgotten half of it. I must come to you again tomorrow. Today my brain is all in a whirl. I can't keep my thoughts together.
Oh, you mustn't take it in this way, my dear George.
Mustn't? What do you mean?
Well, in your sorrow you must rejoice. as I do, rejoice or she is at rest.
Yes. You mean talking about Aunt Julia?
Yes, indeed.
You will be lonely now, Miss Tessman.
Well, just at first, yes, but that will not last very long, I hope. I dare say I shall soon find an occupant for Reena's little room.
And who do you think will take it, huh?
Well, there's always some poor invalid or other involved with nursing, unfortunately.
Will you take that burden upon yourself again?
A burden? Heaven forgive you, child. It has been no burden to me.
No, but when a stranger is in your hands,
Well, one soon makes friends with sick folks. And besides, it is such an absolute necessity for me to have someone to live for. Well, heaven be praised. There may soon be something in this house too to keep an old aunt busy.
don't concern yourself with anything here, Aunt.
Oh, what a nice time we three might have together.
If?
Oh, nothing. It will all come right. Let us hope so, huh?
Oh, well, I think you two want to talk to each other. And perhaps Hedda may have something to tell you too, George. Goodbye. I must go home to Reena. How strange it is to think that now Reena is with me and with my poor brother as well.
Yes, Aunt Julia. Fancy that, huh?
I almost think your Aunt Reena's death affects you more than it does your Aunt Julia.
Oh, it's not just Aunt Reena, it's Eilert I'm so terribly uneasy about.
Is there anything new about him?
I went to his lodgings to see him this afternoon and to tell him that his manuscript was in safekeeping.
Did you find him there?
No, I did not, but I met Mrs. Elvsted on the way back and she told me that he had been here early this morning
Oh yes, he came soon after you left.
and that he has torn his manuscript to pieces, huh?
So he declared.
Why, good heavens, he must have been completely out of his mind. And you thought it better not to give it back to him, huh?
He did not get it.
But you told him you had it.
No, but did you tell Mrs. Elvsted?
No, I did not. But you ought to have told him, Hedda. Just fancy if in desperation he should go and do himself some injury. Where is the manuscript? I'll take it to him at once. Where is it?
I've not got it.
Have not got it. What in the world do you mean?
I've burnt it. Every line of it.
Burnt? Burnt Eilert's manuscript!
Don't scream so the servant will hear you.
Burnt! No, it's impossible!
It is so, nevertheless.
Do you know what you've done, Hedda? It's unlawful appropriation of lost property. Fancy that. Ask Judge Brack and he'll tell you what it is.
I advise you not to tell anyone, Judge Brack or the others.
But how could you do such a thing, Hedda? What got into you? What possessed you? Tell me that, huh?
I did it for your sake, George.
For my sake? Huh?
Yes, for when you told me he had read to you,
Yes, what then?
you acknowledged you envied his work.
Oh, of course I didn't mean that literally.
Nonetheless, I can't bear the thought of someone putting you to shade.
Oh, Hedda. Is this true? But I never knew you show your love like that before.
Well, I might as well tell you, just at this moment, that... No, you must ask your Aunt Julia. She'll tell you fast enough.
Oh, Hedda, and I think I understand you. But great heavens, do you really mean it, huh?
Don't shout so the servant will hear you.
The servant, oh how absurd you are. It's only my old Berta, I'll go tell her myself.
It's killing me, all of this.
What is? Huh?
This absurdity, George.
Absurdity, but do you find anything absurd of me being overjoyed at the news? Or perhaps I'd better not tell Berta.
Oh, why not that too?
No, not yet, but I must tell Aunt Julia. And that you tried to call me George too. She's gonna be so happy, so happy.
To hear I've burnt Eilert's manuscript for your sake?
No, that affair of the manuscript, of course no one must know about it. But that you love me so much. Aunt Julia must share my happiness, Hedda. Oh, I wonder if this sort of thing is common in young wives, huh?
Perhaps you should ask Aunt Julia that question too.
I think I will. But the manuscript, Hedda, it's really terrible to think what will become of poor Eilert now.
Forgive my coming again.
What is the matter with you, Tia?
Is it something about Eilert Lovborg again, huh?
Yes, I'm dreadfully afraid some misfortune has happened to him.
You think so?
What makes you think that, Mrs. Elvsted?
Well, I went to his lodgings and they were talking about him. I couldn't make out, but
What were they saying at the boarding house?
I couldn't make out anything clearly. Well, either they knew nothing definite, or else they stopped talking as I came in and I did not dare to ask.
We must hope that you misunderstood them, Mrs. Elvsted.
No, it was him they were talking of. They heard something about the hospital.
The hospital?
That cannot be.
He was in such mortal terror. I went to his lodgings and asked for him.
You made up your mind to go to his lodgings.
Was I?
Yeah.
What else could I possibly do? I could bear the suspense no longer.
But you didn't find him either, huh?
No, the people have not heard of him. In fact, he hasn't been home since yesterday afternoon, they said.
Yesterday? Fancy, how can they say that?
I'm sure something terrible must have happened to him.
Oh, we must hope you misunderstood them, Mrs. Elvsted. Hedda, how would it be if I were to go and make inquiries, huh?
No, don't get yourself mixed up in this affair.
Is that you, my dear judge, huh?
Well, it was imperative I see you this evening.
I can see that you've heard the news about Aunt Trina.
Oh. Well, yes, that's amongst other things.
Isn't it sad, huh?
Well, my dear Tessman, that depends on how you look at it.
Has anything else happened?
Anything sad, Judge Brack?
It was something about Eilert Lovborg then.
What makes you think of that? Perhaps you've already heard something.
Oh no, nothing at all, but...
Oh, for heaven's sake, tell us!
Eilert Lovborg has been taken to the hospital and is lying at the point of death.
Oh God.
Hospital at point of death!
And we parted in anger, Hedda.
Shh, quiet.
Well, I must go see him. I must go see him
It
alive.
is useless. No one will be admitted.
But then what happened? At least tell us.
You don't mean to say that he's himself, huh?
I'm sure it is that.
Unfortunately, you've guessed quite correctly, Mrs. Tessman.
Oh, horrible.
Himself.
Shot himself.
Oh, guessed quite correctly again, Mrs. Tessman.
When did it happen, Mr. Brack?
This afternoon between 3 and 4.
But where did he do it, huh?
Where? I suppose at his lodgings.
No, that cannot be. I was there between 6 and 7.
Then maybe someplace else. You know, all I know is that he was found having been shot in the breast.
How horrible that he would die like that.
In the breast?
As I told you, Mrs.
Not
Tessman.
in the temple?
In the breast, Mrs. Tessman.
I suppose the breast is a good enough place.
How do you mean?
And you say the wound is dangerous, huh?
Absolutely mortal. The end probably has come by this time.
Yes, I feel it. The end is here. Hedda.
But how have you learned all this, huh?
From one of the police I had some business with.
At last a deed worth doing.
What are you talking about, Hedda?
I see there's beauty in this.
Hedda, how can you talk about beauty in such an act?
Eilert Lovborg has had the courage to take up his own account with life. He has had the courage to do the one right thing.
We must never think of that, how it happened. He must have been in delirium when he did it.
In despair!
No, it's not. I'm certain of that.
Oh, yes, in delirium. That's when he tore our manuscript.
What? Did you say he tore that manuscript himself?
Yes, he did it last night.
Really extraordinary.
And think of Eilert going out of the world this way and not leaving behind him the manuscript that would have immortalized his name.
Maybe we can put it together again.
If we only could, I don't know what I would not give
Perhaps it can, Mr. Tessman.
What do you mean?
Okay. All the loose notes that he used to dictate from.
Have you saved them, Mrs. Elvsted?
Yes, I kept them in my purse when I left the house. He asked her.
Oh, do let me see them.
But then it's disorder, all mixed up.
Oh, perhaps if we both put our minds together, we could get something out of them.
Yes, at least let us try.
We must manage it, we must. I will dedicate my life to this task.
You, George, your life.
Yes, or rather all the time I can spare. My own monuments can wait in the meantime. You understand, Hedda, huh? I owe this to Eilert's memory.
Perhaps.
Mrs. Elvsted, there's no use of brooding over what can't be undone, huh? We must try to control our griefs as much as possible. And
I'll try my best, Mr. Tessman.
Mrs. Elvsted, we will both put our minds to it. Come here. I can't rest until I've looked through the notes. Come here. Where shall we sit here? Oh, no, in the inner room. Excuse me, my dear judge. Come, Mrs. Elvsted.
It was only possible.
What a sense of freedom it gives one, this act of Eilert Lovborg's.
Freedom. He said, it's sort of a release for him, yes.
I meant for me. Gives me a sense of freedom to think an act of courage is still possible in this world. An act of spontaneous beauty. I know what you're going to say, Judge, for you are a specialist too, just like you know.
Eilert Lovborg was much more to you than perhaps you're willing to admit to yourself. Am I wrong?
I don't answer such questions. All I know is Eilert Lovborg has had the courage to live his life in his own fashion. And then this last act with all its beauty, that he should have the courage to turn away from the banquet of life so early.
Well, I must confess, I fear I will have to dispel an amiable illusion, you see.
Illusion?
Which wouldn't have lasted long in any case.
What do you mean?
Well, Eilert Lovborg did not shoot himself voluntarily.
Not voluntarily?
The thing did not happen exactly as I said so.
You have concealed something then?
For, poor Mrs. Elvsted's sake, I had to idealize the facts a little.
And what are the facts?
First, that he's already dead.
At the hospital?
Yes, without regaining consciousness.
And what else have you concealed?
The event did not happen as at his lodgings.
That can make no difference.
Really? What if I tell you that Eilert Lovborg was found having been shot in Mademoiselle Diana's rooms?
That's impossible. He could not have gone back again.
He was there. He was there this afternoon to demand the return of something they had taken away from him. He spoke something about a lost child.
That's it then.
And I thought it must have been his manuscript. But now that I've heard it, he's stored it up. It must have been his pocketbook, isn't it?
Must be. There he was found then.
Yes. There he was found with a pistol in his pocket, discharged. The bullet had lodged in a vital part, Miss Hedda.
In the breast, yes?
No. In the bowels, Miss Hedda.
That too. What curse is this that everything I touch turns ridiculous and mean?
And there is another feature, another disagreeable feature in this affair, Miss Hedda.
What is it?
The pistol that he carried.
What about it?
He must have stolen it, isn't it?
That's impossible.
Oh, every other explanation ought to be impossible, Miss Hedda. He must have stolen it.
Hedda dear,
He must have stolen it.
it's almost impossible to see under that lamp, only think.
I am thinking.
How would it be if you could use a writing table, huh?
If you would like. No, but let me clear it out
Oh
first.
no, Hedda, you need not trouble. There's plenty of space.
How goes it, Thea, with Eilert's monument?
It'll be terribly hard to put these in order.
We must manage it. We must. I'm determined.
What were you saying about the pistol?
That he must have stolen it,
Why stolen?
because every other explanation ought to be impossible. Stolen.
Indeed.
Yeah, was he not here this morning?
Yes, he was.
And were you not alone with him?
Part of the time.
Did you not venture out of the room while he was here?
No.
Try to recollect, Miss Hedda. Were you not out of the room even for a moment when he was here?
Perhaps for a moment in the hall.
Where was the pistol case having that time?
I had it locked up inside my... It lay there on the table.
Did you happen to check since then if the two pistols are still there?
No.
You don't have to, because I saw the pistol that was found on Eilert Lovborg and I recognized it immediately. You know, as the same pistol that I saw yesterday and before. It was the same pistol, Miss Hedda.
Have you it with you?
No, the police has it with them.
And what will the police do with it?
Search till they find the owner, you see.
Will they succeed?
As long as I stay mum, Hedda Gabler,
And if you not say nothing, what then?
then there's always a possibility that the pistol was stolen.
Dead before that.
People say such things, but they don't do them, Miss Hedda.
And what if the gun was not stolen and the owner is found?
Then comes the scandal.
The scandal?
The scandal of which you are so mortally afraid of. And then you and Mademoiselle Diana will be brought before the court, and then she will have to answer this question as to what exactly happened. Was it an accidental shot or was it murder? Did the pistol go off when he was like trying to pull it out of his pocket to threaten her, or did she tear it out of his hand, shoot him and put it back into his pocket? But this is quite like her, you know. She's quite an able-bodied young woman, this same Mademoiselle Diana.
But I have nothing to do with any of this.
Really? What do you think? I mean, you will have to answer this question as to why did you give the pistol to Eilert Lovborg? And what conclusions do you think people will have when you will have to hear that you gave the pistol to Eilert Lovborg, madam?
That is true. I did not think of that.
No, don't worry. There is no danger. As long as I stay mum, you see.
I am in your power, then. I am at your beck and call from this moment onward.
I promise I shall never abuse my advantage, you see.
But I am in your power nevertheless.
I think so.
A slave. Slave then. No, I can't endure the thought of that, never.
Well, people get used to the inevitable, you see.
I'm sure they do. How's it going then, Tessman, huh?
Oh, heaven knows, dear. In any case, it's going to be a work of months.
Fancy that. And Thea, isn't it odd? You sit here working with Tessman just as you did with Eilert Lovborg.
Oh, only if I could inspire your husband the same way.
Oh, I'm sure that will come in time too.
You know, Hedda, I think I've begun to feel something of that sort. But won't you go and sit with Brack again?
Is there nothing I can do to help you?
Oh no, nothing in the world.
Then I will go in and lie down. I'm very tired this evening.
Yes, Hedda, dear. Think of Aunt Rina and of Eilert too.
And of Aunt Julia and of the rest. After this, I'll be quiet.
I think it's really hard for her to see us at this distressing work. I'll tell you what, Mrs. Elvsted. How about you take the empty room at Aunt Julia's and I can come over there in the evening and we can work on the manuscript.
I can hear what you're saying, George. And what do you think I will do with myself when you're gone?
I dare say Judge Brack will be kind enough to look in now and then, even though I'm out.
Oh, with all the pleasure in life for every blessed evening, we shall get on capitally together. You and I, Mrs. Tessman.
Don't you flatter yourself we will, Judge Brack, now that you're the only cock in the basket?
Oh, now she's playing with those pistols again. Shot herself! Shot herself in the temple! Fancy that!
Oh, good Lord, people say such things, but they don't do them.